want to show you and share with you a technique that I use in order to really help myself stay grounded. And when I'm feeling a lot of energy and mental activity and I just can't switch my mind off, I really like to use this because it brings my energy back down and allows me to be a lot more expanded in my pelvis and my hip areas. Now, just so you know, the pelvis and the hips and this whole area is kind of where our sense of self comes from, where our like feminine, masculine energy and how much of that comes from. It's our confidence, it's how and our clarity about where we want to go and who we want to be, and how we want to play ourselves in the world. And all of this energy is coming from this whole area. So when there's so much kind of like buzzing and chaos going on up here, I really like to expand this whole area because I'm going to get so much more clarity about who I want to be, the direction. If I'm struggling making a decision, then I'm really feeling that it's important to have that clarity so I know and get my intuition so I can make really productive decisions about my life and the way that I want it to go. So this whole area, this whole exercise is about really expanding this whole area, getting that energy to really engage and come through the system so that you can get more clarity, know where you want to go, gain insight, and just really connect to source. And this will also help if you have like tension in your pelvis or in your hips. It will help really expand that. And you might even notice that you do have tension when we do the exercise, but this exercise is really going to help you kind of open that and liberate that so that you are less stiff, so there's more flexibility around this whole area. And I find that when I do that myself, like I don't necessarily have pain or tension, but when I do the exercise, I feel more stiff and I feel the stiffness during the exercise. But afterwards, I feel so much more free and I feel so much more open. So I really want to share this with you. So we're going to go straight into the exercise. If you have a floor or a sofa, then just feel free to join in. Okay, so here I am on the floor, and it's really important that you're on the floor or on a very kind of like fairly firmish surface. If you have a yoga mat, then just use one of those if you need a bit of extra support. I would prefer it if you're on a firmer surface. Make sure you have your knees bent and your legs just slightly apart, so your feet are about hip width apart and your knees about, following the hip and the foot line. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by first putting one hand on one hip here, or sort of on the thigh, and one hand on the other thigh here. And just kind of get yourself comfy and just sort of relax into that position. If you can, ideally your elbows should be sort of resting on the floor with your hands like this. And what we're going to do to begin with is just take a breath into your hands here. So try and I know there's no lungs there, but try and get your breath down and visualize more expansion happening around your pelvis area. And the breath is just going to be in your nose and out your mouth. And after you've taken a couple of breaths, I really want you to take a really deep breath, like 2 or 3 really deep breaths. And what I mean by deep is really hold it on the in-breath. When you get to the top of the in-breath, feel the expansion in this part of your body, but keep breathing into it. So I want you to feel if there's tension there when you breathe. So don't back away from it. I really want you to feel into it and open it up. So we're going to take a deep breath. So interestingly, when I just did my one deep breath, I was feeling tension behind my right shoulder blade and like underneath my right buttock here. So this is interesting. So it's that deep breath is helping me become aware of where the system is holding tension. And I didn't know that. I'm just walking around feeling no tension, feeling no pain. But when I connect to my body deeper, I can start to feel deeper things. So this is really great insight. So we're going to keep doing a couple of deep breaths. And again. Really expand and in the pelvis area. Now, after you've done that, if you've felt tension, I want you to move, do another breath, and then you're going to move and stretch where you feel the tension. Don't just sit with it. Don't just allow yourself to feel it and be in discomfort. Move your body to allow that tension to move through. So we're going to do the same thing again. Now I'm feeling some tension. Keep breathing in. Move the body. And if there's a bit more movement that needs to happen, then just allow that to happen. So the more movement, the more the tension is going to work its way out of the system. So after I've done that bit of movement and connection, like the breath goes so much more easily into my pelvis, like around this whole area, which is great. So, you know, you've just really helped your system and connected and worked through some tension. So the next thing we're going to do is do the same thing, but we're going to apply a little bit of pressure. So like I'm going to push into my hips here. So my elbows are slightly off, so I'm keeping a bit of tension in my arms, and we're going to do the same thing. When I breathe in, I'm going to push down and further, as if I'm trying to push my hips towards my feet. So I feel like a pull in the muscles in my belly. And when you breathe out, you're going to relax. So do the same thing. And again, so for my breath at the moment, I'm really trying to get it further down. Like I can feel it happening too much up here, and I want to get it right down here. And again, when I did that, I was feeling some tension at the two joints in my back, so which are your sacroiliac joints. And so for me, so I'm wanting to move my pelvis from side to side to release the tension, but we're going to go in there again. And this time when you feel the tension, do the same thing. You're going to move to try and release and resolve that tension. So take a breath in. And push. Really breathe. Now I feel the tension when I push. Now I want to just stretch. Hold the breath. And again, I feel another level of opening through this whole area here. So we've really just done two little things of connecting in and opening up this whole area. So now we're going to build on that. So this time instead, you're going to have one hand on the side of your hip and the other hand on the other side. And what we're going to do is we're going to do like an alternate breathing between like the left hip and then the right hip. And when we breathe into the hip, as we breathe in, I really want you to sort of stretch your hip out to the side and then back to the middle. And then as you breathe into the other side, you're going to stretch your hip out to the side and then bring it back to the middle as you breathe out. So as you breathe in, stretch out, and as you breathe out, bring it back into the center. And we're going to do one breath in one side, then one breath into the other. So I'm going to start with the left hand side. Okay, so here we go. Now just doing that a few times, it feels easy to the left, really challenging to the right. Like I can't get the same range, I can't get the same motion. So I'm feeling a lot, like I can feel the pulling at the back. So I really am gonna work on that. And when I feel the tension, I'm gonna allow my body to move in whatever way it feels like it needs to move to connect deeper to the tension. When you connect deeper to tension, just be with it at that moment. Your body will work through it. You don't have to work through it. All you've got to do is just be with the discomfort, hold it, and then the system will work through it. So it would just look something like this if you want to watch for a moment. So I'm going to breathe to the left. Then breathe to the right. And I don't know if some of you heard like a little click there on that right hip as it really opened up. So now I've done that, I'm gonna do the same thing again and just see what the difference is. Perfect. So much more even. It feels much happier in this whole area, which is great when I do that. So that's another layer. So then the last layer we're going to add is you're going to have your hands like right on the dimples in your back, and you're going to have the left hand on the left, the right hand on the right, and you're just going to lie on your hands like this. And what you're going to do is we're going to do the same thing. You're going to breathe into the left, and then you're going to breathe into the right. And just feel to begin with. So I'm going to start with breathing into the left. And like with the breath, don't just breathe, but also like expand the body like into your hands. So the next layer would be when I breathe in, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna feel like where my fingertips are touching my back, I'm going to kind of press my fingertips into my back. And then when I breathe into the left, I'm gonna breathe into the fingertips. And as I breathe into the fingertips, I'm gonna almost keep the fingertips connected to the skin, but pull the skin out to the left. So you're not pulling your hand out like this, you're just grabbing the skin with your fingertips and pulling the skin on top of your bones. So that's what I want you to do when you breathe in. So it looks something like this. Now the right. And now the left. And now the right. And again, I'm just feeling into some tension here on the right. I just feel like I need to let my legs go open a little bit just to find it. Now I'm looking for an area where I can stretch into and I feel the tension right there. So I can really feel it now. Now I'm going to take another breath in. Pull the fingers out to the right. Hold it. And just after having done that, I can feel like some movement around here in my abdomen and my tummy area. That's a bit of gurgling as well, so that's a really nice release. So I'm going to just go back to this place and do the same thing again. Breathing into the left, pull my fingers out, and then breathing into the right and just pulling the skin and the skin out to the side with my fingertips. And that's it. Like, that's feeling so much nicer now in my pelvis, much more open. And if it needs to kind of just keep moving side to side, which mine clearly does, or you might find you much prefer to just move up and down, which is also good too. Then you're just going to find out your place and just bring some movement. And then after you finish, just allow yourself to just be for a while. You don't have to get up straight away, but just without your hands attached to your body, just breathe into your body and feel what's different. It's so important to feel what's different so your brain and body learn like what has changed and what's actually happened. Great. And this feels, for me, like so much more expansion here. So I feel like that's a good job well done, guys. I'm going to come back up. So I really want you to be aware of like what differences that you felt in your body. It could just be super small, like how much more breath you got there, or maybe you just feel looser. When you get up, you might feel a little bit more lightheaded as you've really just connected and shifted some things around in your body, and that's completely fine. Just make sure you drink plenty of water and just maybe go for a little walk because you've really opened your hips, so that would really help. And then over the next few days, just be really aware of what shifted in your body, especially down here. If you had tension around your sort of shoulder blades, then just again be aware of what's different there as well. And then, you know, the changes, you know, you might notice some changes throughout, so just be completely as aware as you can. And do the exercise like as much as you feel like you need to. Like at the moment, I'm just wanting to get more and more grounded, more and more into self as I get more clarity about the direction I want my life to go in and how I want to go about doing things and how I want to present myself going forwards. So that clarity, as I said, is going to come from your pelvis. So it's like so important that that stays open as best as you can, especially if you want all those things to come through. So thank you so much for being with me on this video. Please share with your friends if you have some like amazing results, or if you just have any results, just comment below. I would love to hear from you, and I wish everyone a great day. Bye.